And good morning. Wow, 24th of September 2020. Welcome, everyone. I'm Roy Potter. I'm starting at a little odd time this morning. I have things to do. I noticed yesterday that somebody said, "Hey, Roy's back in the studio." Well, hey, good morning, Random Chick. Uh, so, I haven't been using my standard computer for my uploads for my live streams for, as you know, a number of weeks now. And so I got on there early this morning to start prepping the program. And guess what? YouTube's changed its procedures on me again, and I just didn't have time to figure it out this morning. Uh, I they do that supposedly because they're improving it, but I swear it's to confuse you and to make it harder for the content providers to keep up and to be able to do a proper program on a moment's notice. Yeah. So at any rate, I'm having to do this on my phone this morning. I didn't feel like wrestling with YouTube this morning to figure out all the new little procedures they have. My phone is direct. That probably won't last long either. They'll probably change some things on here. As a matter of fact, I think I got a notification that they're going to. Again, good morning, everyone. Uh, the reason why I've named this the way I have is because, again, as I've been pointing out, we've been betrayed from top to bottom, and we're being manipulated. The Black Lives Matter Antifa situation that's going on is to make us fear, be uncertain, lose faith in the government, which the government deserves to not have our faith in it. It's proven that over many decades now. But the fact of the matter is that they're maneuvering us into that situation that I told you about once before, where Kissinger said that they will make things so unbearable that we will beg for military in the streets, which is our own demise, I might add. The correct situation is for the state militias to stand up, and I'm not talking about the National Guard. I'm talking a duly constituted militia by the governor or by a sheriff. The sheriff is a posse, of course. Properly organized and disciplined, and to take these insurrectionists and these Maoists on directly. And we can do that. But we have to have governors and sheriffs that are willing to take that step, and most of them, of course, are not. So everybody looks to Trump and the federal government to do their dirty work for them. We need to keep the federal government out of it as much as we can, but the governors are lost. You can see that the Republican governors now are pushing so hard on all these restrictions, flexing their tyrannical muscle. You saw yesterday, if you're paying attention, a police officer tased a mother at a ball game for not wearing a mask. I said this was coming. And we saw a gentleman who's running for a political office in Moscow, Idaho. He and his people that were out singing and gathering in a park were arrested by the Moscow Police Department, I'm sure under the mayor's orders and the chief of police's order, for not properly social distancing or wearing their masks or whatever. They release felons from prison because of COVID, and they arrest good Americans on fictitious, under color of law charges. All these governors, mayors, and police that are engaging in this should be arrested for violations of, I think it's Title 10. Maybe it's Title 18. It's been so long since I've forgotten. Anyway, civil rights violations and false arrest and assault, etc., etc. I saw Colonel Joe yesterday. If you follow him, GK Joe on Twitter, he saw this happening both at the ball game with the lady getting tased in Ohio, and these people getting arrested in Moscow. And he said, this, tell your tubbies there, fellow police officers, tell your tubbies there that this is a really stupid thing to do when the people are the only thing standing between you and what's coming against you by Antifa and BLM, which is in the Maoist, Marxist, communist playbook that they take you cops out. And you're harassing under the orders of these disgusting governors, Republican governors. That's what Little is in Idaho. He's a Republican governor. Herbert's a Republican governor in Utah who said they're going to arrest kindergartners who don't wear their masks, and the masks are actually child abuse. So they're working us into this situation where the cops are hated by everybody. And you cops fall for this bullshit. You violate your oaths. You ought to be going and arresting the governors and the mayors and the chiefs of police and the city council members, etc. But no, you haven't got the guts to do that. I have friends that are on police departments and they're doing the same thing. And I thought they were upright and courageous men. And now I'm beginning to wonder what in the hell they're thinking. So anyway, yes, my Second Amendment cup this morning. All right. I'm going to set this down. So, we're being manipulated, and unfortunately, we're being put in a catch-22, a rock and a hard place, because we cannot stand, as bad as the police are being treated, like in Louisville, getting shot at by the Antifa and BLM. These same cops will come and drag you out of your home because of this COVID nonsense and the contact tracing. And they will take your guns. And they are arresting mothers and other innocent Americans for not putting up with this nonsense. Shame on those cops. Everybody's going to hate them. And how stupid are those cops doing this? Oh, that check and that paycheck and that pension, man, you got to have that. Well, you're going to have neither here pretty soon, idiots. But I'm just one lone voice. But I can say what I'm saying because I was a cop. And I'm disgusted. I don't want to see them shot like they were in Louisville or mistreated like they've been. But this law and order and the thin blue line, and we love our cops, not when they violate the very rights that they were sworn to protect. So we're being betrayed deliberately. We're being put into this situation. So we're going to have to police ourselves, ladies and gentlemen, as most of you already know. In some places in the country, the cops won't even answer criminal calls. I told this story once. I grew up in Hyattsville, Maryland, just outside of D.C. And we used to have this joke whenever you saw the Hyattsville Police Department with lights and siren heading down the road, you always said they're running away from the criminals. And that was true more often than I'd care to admit. So at any rate, again, Kissinger said that we would beg for the military in the streets. They're pushing us towards that, ladies and gentlemen. And Trump's not helping. And by the way, yesterday, a lot of us really came down on Trump hard. One of which, of course, I mention her frequently. Nancy Morgan Hart came down on Trump last night. I don't know if she approved of what I did, but she put up a tweet. I wish I could read it to you, but I don't have my Twitter on right now. She basically said, Mr. Trump, I'm going to ask the Lord God Almighty to condemn you for what you've done to these innocent Americans. And for that matter, people around the world. Look what he's doing to Belarus right now. Under some pretense. They're doing a color revolution in Belarus because they won't do the COVID lockdowns or allow the banking system in. So the CIA is doing in Belarus what they're doing to the United States right now, except they're further along probably in Belarus, although I'm not so sure. But the United States troops are on the border in Lithuania. So Trump lies. He says one thing and he does something else. He says he's not going to do regime change. He's not arresting Soros. They still haven't arrested the top leaders of BLM, which will include people in the House and the Senate and bureaucrats in the government and Soros's people. No. They're out arresting little mothers and fathers who are out at the park with their kids not wearing masks or social distancing, which is totally anti-human to begin with. It goes against your nature. They're not asking us, they're demanding that we turn against our human nature. They're making our human nature, our human desire for closeness and for companionship, they're making it criminal. Don't you see what they're doing? And Trump's behind it. So Nancy pointed this out yesterday. Dr. Atlas came out after Fauci's testimony in front of the Senate with Rand Paul, where Rand Paul came down on him for the entire thing about herd immunity and cross something humanity. I forget the I don't remember the name of it right now. But at any rate, and Fauci was tongue tied and basically resorted to attacking Rand Paul. Well, so Dr. Atlas comes out and refutes Fauci at the White House yesterday. And I found that interesting. And I said, now, why would Trump had to know he was going to do this. Maybe he didn't. I don't know. But I would think he did. If he didn't do it with Trump's approval, he's probably getting his butthole reamed today or last night. But Dr. Atlas came out and said Fauci's stuff is BS. This entire thing is being run wrong. They've been wrong the whole time. Basically, that's what he was saying. And yet, Trump will not pull his national emergency. Well, they're not going to let me say some of this, are they? I've got great signal strength here. Well, I'll just make it quick. So, it's not just buffering. They're actually interfering with the internet up the line. It might be YouTube doing it. I don't know. Because I'm talking about Fauci and his lies and Trump covering for it. So Trump hasn't reneged on any of this. And Republican governors are damn near as bad as the Democrats. But we never hear that. It's always the Democrats this and the Democrats that. No, the Republicans are doing it, and they're doing it under Trump's direction. You can bet they're talking on the phone. I told you those governors met in some secret meeting. I think it was in St. Louis over a year ago, getting them ready for this. Thank you, Frozen Marauder. So Nancy called him out on that and said, where are you, Trump? And we all should have called him out. So I don't know where this is going to go, but my gut feeling is that Trump has now arrived at a situation where he feels comfortable because of who's backing him, that he can do any damn thing he wants. So all of the accusations that we've been trying to defend him against that are being made by the Dems and by Soros and by different world leaders, et cetera, all those accusations were allowed to be made so that we would defend him in his unrighteous, good morning, Nancy, in his unrighteous and his wicked, tyrannical actions. And that's exactly what's happening. If the governors were actually Republican governors that were following their sworn duty to uphold the Constitution, they would not be following Trump's mere guidelines. I know that there was that Health Act, National Health Act, that was signed that gave all kinds of powers to the national health, public officials, et cetera. That's easily suspended. That's easily stopped. And where's Barr? Nowhere. So it's like I've said, they're attacking us from below with criminals. They're attacking us from the sides with politicians and with these governor rules and all this nonsense. And they're attacking us above by very, very evil forces. So we're surrounded. And the only thing that we can do is try to extricate ourselves and, as I've said, stand in the holy place. Separate yourselves. Now, yesterday, I got attacked a lot yesterday. I've been up late at night. I was up early this morning. Like I said, I've been burning the candle at both ends and got a little eye strain. Not a black eye, an eye strain. And these demons on here were trying to link me in with the satanic forces because I have an eye strain and a blood vessel broken in my eye. No, nobody punched me and gave me a black eye. Maybe I just shouldn't, spend all this time looking at this stuff. I should just go visit family, and I should go golfing a little more often. Maybe do a little, get a hunting license or fishing license and go out and do that and just forget about, trying to figure out what's going on here. Plus, I was in school and I decided to enroll again for the next level. So I've been burning a lot of time, and they have to make those kinds of accusations. Well, I know it's just to aggravate me. I know that. But that's who we're up against in this country and in this world. These demons in the flesh. The other question is why am I preaching so much? After Nancy brought that out, about, what was it, a week ago or so, I said that I was going to ask God to condemn Trump. I started down that road. There are certain things you do to bring that about. And I thought, no, it's not quite time yet. I don't know why. And it has to do with the cup of iniquity being full. It has to do with that. So I was refrained from that. But I'm not giving up on it. But when I saw Nancy come out yesterday and condemn Trump the way she did, asking God to condemn him, a flood of scriptures entered my mind. And I posted a lot of those addressed to Trump last night. And they all fit, and myriads more. When Trump goes down, he's going to go down big, because he has mocked God, and he has mocked his oaths, and he has mocked human life. He has kept hidden his perverseness. A few people warned us about it, but again, it was a play so that we would defend him rather than actually seriously looking at what he is. I am against you, Trump. God is now against you, Trump. There's no doubt about it. When you have a woman like Nancy who has the courage to come down, here we go again, getting interrupted. I don't think any of them betrayed him. Not saying they didn't. When a woman stands against you, Trump, like this, I mean, I know there are women that divorce their husbands, and they're after money or material things. Sometimes they're just in a power struggle. But when you have somebody like Nancy come out and condemn you, you better open your eyes and take a look at that heart of yours. So, yes, I am rebuking him. Somebody just asked me. Yes, I am rebuking him. In the name of Jesus Christ, I am rebuking you, Donald Jesus Trump. That's his real name, not Donald John, in case you didn't know. Mother's name Mary, father's name Christ. This was all planned a long time ago. If you ever watched the movie Omen, you're seeing it play out right now. Well, that's really all I have. I just wanted to warn you about what's happening. I wanted to thank Nancy for that courageous step last night. And just let you know that I did tweet out a bunch of, mostly in Isaiah. There was one, I think, in Daniel. I could have sent some up from Zechariah and Jeremiah and some others, but I don't want to overkill it. I think the basic idea got out there. So and they're messing with my stream, so I'll go ahead and go. But I just wanted to come on this morning and just point this out, that we're being accosted at all levels, and Trump is still not backing down. He's still pushing his op warp speed. We know what the vaccine, quote unquote vaccine, is, that it's actually to change your DNA. They're trying to what the serpent started in the Garden of Eden, to inject his seed into the seed of the woman so that she would carry his seed. And then there was the promise that there would be a division, that God would set enmity between the seed of the serpent and the seed of the woman, which existed. Well, the serpent knew that he couldn't get fully control over human beings that way. So now he's having his minions here, like Gates, do it with this scientific technocracy. That's exactly what's going on. So that the serpent can claim you as his rather than trying to steal you from God. Very much like child trafficking, like child kidnapping. Do you understand that? The devil is dealing in human trafficking and in child kidnap. He is trying to kidnap the children of God and make them his own. Think about that. And why hasn't Trump arrested any of the high elites? Why was Epstein able to either kill himself or go live on an island somewhere? And the only two people in the whole world that believed it was a suicide were Trump and Barr. And of course, they don't believe it. That's the storyline. So the devil is involved in child trafficking and in child kidnapping the children of God, just like the child traffickers do now, just like Epstein did. And I'm afraid that Trump has too many associations with Epstein. And I talked about this before, and I tweeted it out this morning. People that support him say, well, remember, he was approached by the FBI to be an informant on Epstein, etc. And I wrote this morning, because I'm sick and tired of hearing that, because it doesn't make sense with everything else that's going on. the cover-up of Epstein and all that. I was a cop. I worked in those areas. I know what informants are. And being an FBI informant is not something you should brag about. Many times, the informants are just as bad or worse than the people they're informing on. That's why they're informants. They've been given a deal. Well, Trump made a deal with the devil. This is a very elaborate, intelligent, long-range plan. And Trump's playing a part. And if he is not the devil himself, he's standing in the devil's place doing everything the devil would do. He's making Obama look like a real puppet. I suspect that I'm still looking for some type of a notification from the rabbis over the next, 4 weeks, that they're going to say that the Messiah is going to be revealed, their Messiah, who we would consider the Antichrist. And I still don't know the exact person that would be, but certainly Trump and Kushner are up in the running, and they're both in the right spots. Or they could, I don't think they do this, but they could present someone who would be basically a front man and still be controlled by people behind the scenes, very much like we've seen in the past on like presidents, etc. But whatever, they're moving ahead with the destruction of your posterity, your lives, and that's the game plan. There's nothing short of that. Yeah. Nancy's talking with somebody. Trump is in charge of the DOJ. He does run the DOJ. He is the country's chief law enforcement officer. That's correct. Everybody says, well, he can't do anything because he doesn't control the DOJ. Wrong. If he doesn't control the DOJ, it's only because he won't try. He won't do it. Yeah, Macron could actually be an AC too, but I don't think so. He just doesn't, nah. I doubt it. Not saying it couldn't be, but I don't think so. Not under the circumstances. All right. I won't waste any more of your time this morning. It's already been almost 25 minutes. Just be aware of what's going on, and your governors are the enemy at this point. I even asked Governor Noem up there in South Dakota. She put out a really great video yesterday. I don't know if you saw it. She's shooting ducks, and she says, this is how we social distance in South Dakota. And then somebody said, from PETA, Ken said, how dare you do this? You're cruel to animals. And I wrote PETA back, and I said, I think you need to talk with lions, tigers, bears, cats, dogs, eagles. You get my point? Yeah. Anyway, I really like the governor of South Dakota, but even there are problems. You saw where that man was arrested inside the school board meeting for not wearing a mask. She needs to fix that. Sometimes it's hard to keep track of all these things, especially when you have so many evil people in so many evil places, but she needs to fix that. All right. Well, that's all I've got. Be wary. Trump is about ready to make a really big move. People say, well, no, he won't do it until after the election. Don't bet on that. His lemmings that go and wave their flags and scream. You see all those people running? I remember when I was a little young, but I do remember when the Beatles first came to America, and they were on the Ed Sullivan Show. I was just a little guy. But they were they were practically worshipped. These hordes of kids, boys and girls, primarily the girls, would just rush up and just, they'd be feigning and, they'd be screaming and trying to touch him. Look at how they treat Trump. To worship a man like that is about the very worst thing you can do. And that was Trump's job. As I've said, they had the leftists, they had the Marxists, the Maoists, the Democrats. They had to figure out how to get these Christians to come along and these constitutionalists. Q is a psyop, continues to be. It's very obvious now. Anybody who's willingly looking at it, all they got to see is where this has gone and what Q represents and what it pushes. I mean, you even got General Flynn in there. And that's supposed to be a positive? Not in my book, not now. Okay, well, I pontificated enough. I don't know about martial law. He's a pretty sneaky bastard. This guy. So chances are, what he's going to do is continue to play this victim game. He doesn't need the people to vote for him now. He's selected. It's going to happen. They put up Biden. Look what Biden's doing now. They're uncovering information on Hunter Biden getting involved in human trafficking, illegal sex stuff, not just the money stuff with Burisma and all that. No, this everything that's happening on the Dem side, the accusations, who they're putting up to run against Trump, all this stuff is to push people to Trump. Michael, Jonah of Nineveh, at Jonah of Nineveh on Twitter, has been very good at explaining this. He sees right through it, as I'm sure people like Mark Pantano and Nancy Morgan Hart and some others. Satan has taken over, and he's about ready to let his earthly representative be revealed. And in my estimation, it's pretty obvious who that is. Okay, one last thing. I've said that I stopped following Dan Bongino, Greg Jarrett, Sarah Carter, all those people, because I just can't listen to their constant supposed inside information that never comes to fruition. Okay, so it's another hopium, just another form of the Q movement. But I'm not saying they're evil people. I don't think. I'm not going to put it that way, especially not Dan Bongino. Dan Bongino came out, I guess, and found out that he has some type of a tumor in his neck. You know, they wear those earpieces for years, and believe it or not, they still transmit an electromagnetic radiation, and it's very possible that he could have gotten it from that. I don't know, but whatever, he's concerned right now, and friends of his have asked for prayers, and I did contribute. I put up a prayer in Hebrew to him on Twitter yesterday. You might say, well, why do you do Hebrew, Roy? Well, for a couple of reasons. One is it's kind of a respectful thing. In the Catholic Church, you know, when they do the liturgy, they do it in Latin. Well, Latin's not a holy language, and I'm not going to get involved with the Catholics explaining that. That's their thing, and that's okay. Well, I do it in Hebrew, okay? So I sent that to Dan yesterday. Plus, it makes them pay attention, saying, what's this? And then they've got to go and take the time to look it up, so it makes an impression on their mind and on their heart. Okay. Yeah, Trump is not pro Second Amendment. That's all a ploy. He's proven that he isn't. He said he was going to he was going to push that national carry, you know, for CCW, because if you got a license, why isn't it recognized in all 50 states? You know, that's a nightmare to deal with. But he did nothing. I'm not going to get into Chabad Lubavitchers tonight or this morning. You all should know where I feel about that. I'm not against Jews. I'm not against Israelites. But I wrote a book about what happened and what this country, this nation state of Israel really is, and what it does. And for that, I will call them out. But I'm not saying that there aren't Jesuits and there aren't New World Order Rothschilds and et cetera, that are all involved with it too. They're all just bad people. Remember, the wicked will destroy the wicked. They're all trying to take control of the world. Even though they work together to destroy us, they're also fighting with each other. It's you don't have to have black and white. You can look in there and see the gray, and it's real obvious if you just look at it. And they're all wicked. They're all evil. Okay. Thank you all for coming. Keep your eyes on the horizon, ears to the ground. Maybe I'll get my computer up where I can do the music and all that, and better microphone, whatever. But I just didn't want to wrestle with that this morning. Nancy, thank you for coming down on Trump yesterday. I want to just publicly say again, thank you for doing that. I'm sure God heard that. It was a form of a prayer, and I think a lot of us amplified it. And where two or more are gathered in my name, there will I be also. All right. Satan is as Satan does, Isaac Newton. That's all I got to say. Out here for now. See you later.